Hey everybody, here's another update on Path of Exile 2. My thoughts for the 6 people that not want to hear it, but watch my videos. My friends in real life, thank you for coming back. And if it's the first time you're here, thank you as well. Catch in a bit of the hype of Path of Exile 2 while being buried as well. With the amount of content for a game that's early access. I don't have a script. I'm just gonna go off the top of my dome. First of all, I've uninstalled the game. It was making me too angry. I decided to wait until maybe take a break for a week or two, let the meta stabilize a bit. So basically, yesterday I was streaming my sorceress, got to Act 2 with spoilers ahead. The boss that comes there's a hole in the middle of the map, right? Okay, and that boss. And I was getting angrier and angrier and angrier at the mechanics, just because I constantly had to dodge. Maybe I was under-leveled. I constantly had to dodge to get through, just to stay alive. I could barely, do one or two abilities at a time, so a lot of my stuff was damaged over time while I rolled around, which was super annoying. Just slamming the spacebar. It's not a mechanic I like in any game, any action game, and now it's in this ARPG. And there was a I don't know why I'm yelling. It's because of the the headset. There was because when I yell, I have this high pitched voice. There was a message, a notification message about the. Here you go. Maybe I'm yelling less like this. There was a message, to be fair, about upcoming maintenance. Like, hey, in 20 minutes, the realms, the servers are gonna shut down, blah blah blah. But I became so hyper focused on beating that boss because I was always at like 10% left that I totally forgot about the time. And I'll put a clip here. I'll put it in the post editing, I guess. So there is a bit of editing. This is what happened. What? No! You're fucking kidding me! Uninstall. Not touching it for a week. I know that's on me. I know it's my fault. I know it's on me. So yeah, I was just so done after that, after all the sweat, the blood, and the tears, that I decided I'm gonna uninstall the game. This is the furthest I got in the game with the sorceress, and to me is the class that feels the most like Path of Exile 1. I know they're trying to get a new identity and a new different type of game with Path of Exile 2, but it's got Path of Exile tag on it, so I came to this game expecting the kind of complexity and gameplay that they were showing. So yeah, I found 2 clips that perfectly sum up how I feel about the game. So I'm gonna start yelling again because I have the headset on. First one, let me move by the beloved Darth microtransaction, and he's gonna say this thing here. Let me put the sound up.
I've seen some counterpoints to this already where people are like, well, the game shouldn't be made easier. It's like no one's honestly arguing for the game to be easier. The reality is that the campaign is significantly longer than the Path of Exile 1 campaign as well. So if you're going to make a brand new character, because you kind of have to, if you get to the point where your build is like kind of dog shit and you kind of can't respec it, you don't have the gold, you decide, okay, well, my build that I made is like so bad, I'm just going to invest in a new character. Like, you're honestly looking at, I would, for most people, at least 20 hours. And I mean, I feel like that's being like very generous with the campaign just to get get back to like maybe in-game mapping, and that's kind of if you're going pretty fast. I mean, I don't even think I can do the campaign in 20 hours at the moment. So, it is not only, let's just say, a cost investment.
It's long.
For most players, it's a fairly significant time investment to make a new character as well. If the counter argument to that is, well, the game shouldn't carry the people that don't have time to play it as well, it's like, okay, fair enough. I understand your counter arguments. Just don't be surprised when some people decide not to do that and their build feels bad and they just say, I'm going to, not play the game. Or
Boom.
wait for the game to be fully out. I'm seeing those comments too, like, I'm just going to wait for it to be fully out because, they keep nerfing my builds or what.
Yeah, well, my builds are shit, so they not getting nerfed, but yeah, I'm gonna wait for now. The other video that I thoroughly enjoyed is from Daddy Criparian. So apparently Wooly had the same title a year ago. I haven't watched it, but we're gonna go through this. I'm gonna edit a bit, so sort of a second part reaction video about the points that he makes that have me worried. Not worried, but I agree with.
Hey guys, how's it going? Criparian here.
And I'm really happy that the big shot streamer for Path of Exile 2 that was in the Path of Exile sphere for so long is actually speaking his mind. I feel like the positivity out there, okay, granted, some people like the punishing playstyle and the quality of the game, but it's not all, what's the expression, roses? Of course, it's early access, and I was expecting bugs, not punishing, tedious, feel like I'm wasting my time gameplay. And I do feel like a lot of the gamers, the streamers out there, the reviewers, are kind of censoring themselves to keep the to keep the momentum going and to stay in the good graces of the community at large because they want to farm the content for this game. So I do feel like they're kind of, rose-tinted glasses, rose-tinted tongue maybe, saying, holding back on how they really feel about the game. And but not this guy, so I appreciate that a lot.
Here. Today I want to give you guys my take on Path of Exile 2. Haven't played it for several days, almost a week, but I have been playing like 14 plus hours a day.
Insane.
And I have been near the top of the ladder, so I have been playing quite efficiently.
Another thing about that, I don't know these, but okay, here, kind of all the same class. Here, one Titan. Here, one Titan. Here, one Titan. All Infernalist. Alright, if you tell me that the game is balanced, no. And Stormweaver, Infernalist, that I'm not an expert in Path of Exile 1, right? I never did the maps and all that, but these kind of elemental playstyles you could kind of build with the Witch when the Witch was half what the Witch is for PO2 and Sorceress. And the other one is Deadeye, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the Ranger. So the two top classes right now for PoE, Path of Exile 2, seem to be how you were playing Path of Exile 1 and building your character in Path of Exile 1. And for me, that's a huge problem with the game, where the content they've created for the system that they've rebuilt doesn't really let you finish the game. And I'm worried that they're making this game for only the god gamers to finish. And that's why all the streamers are happy about that, maybe because they know they have a leg up on everyone. They're getting paid to get good at the game, so they have a really good chance of becoming the best in the game. They've already been the best in the game for the first installation of the game for a decade. And they're going to be able to farm content by showing off their builds and their successes. So it's like a loop you know, an infinite money loop for them.
So basically, I'm at the point right now where most people start to approach in like, you know, a few weeks time, depending on how much time, you know, you might have to dedicate to the game. And I want to give you guys my opinion of things. And you might not agree with some things. You know, there's a game out there for everyone. And I think my opinion is valuable, at least because while you might have your own take on the game, you might be having a lot of fun right now. But yeah, I can kind of tell you how probably you will feel in some time, in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, whatever. That's just kind of how these things
When we catch up in the hours spent on the game, right?
work, when you have people like me who just play every waking hour of the day,
There you go.
all day when the game comes out.
Living the dream!
As you have seen the title of the video, Path of Exile 2 is Ruthless. This is not like describing Path of Exile 2, though I guess it could describe Path of Exile 2. It is actually literal. Ruthless is a game mode in Path of Exile 1, and
I'm gonna do a Destiny and boost the playback speed a little bit, just because I've watched it 2-3 times. You can go watch it at the normal speed if you want. This is the 4th time I watched this video. I've watched other people react to it.
in my opinion, the Ruthless game mode in Path of Exile 1 has been the pre-alpha test for Path of Exile 2. The concepts behind everything, the concepts behind scarcity, it is like the same thing. And again, I want you guys to understand this is not like an ignorant opinion.
And I was not interested in Ruthless in Path of Exile 1. So the first point that he brings up that to cement the fact that this game is not for me in the current state.
Ruthless is what I've mostly been playing in Path of Exile 1 since Path of Exile 1 added Ruthless to its game mode list. I have leveled many characters past 90, and level 90 in Ruthless is about equivalent to level 100 outside of Ruthless, so it is quite a task. And I really liked Ruthless, and for a lot of the reasons why I really like Ruthless, I quite like Path of Exile 2, but as you will see in today's video, there are certainly some issues that make it a little bit less fun. But it is pretty surprising to me, because I know a lot of people have been hyped for Path of Exile 2, a lot of people who played Path of Exile 1, they were kind of ridiculing Ruthless about how stupid of a game mode it is, and now they're basically playing the graphical and mechanical update to Ruthless, and everyone's having so much fun. How about that?
Everyone's having so much fun. I don't know. If you go on Reddit, everyone knew the Path of Exile 2 loves it. And a significant portion of people who really enjoyed Path of Exile 1 for years hate Path of Exile 2.
I think Ruthless is fantastic in Path of Exile 1. I think people were overly dismissive about it, but the things that exist in Ruthless and Path of Exile 1 that people who typically play Path of Exile 1 didn't really like that much certainly are there, and honestly, to a higher degree in Path of Exile 2. So I think Path of Exile 2 may appeal to a new Path of Exile gamer, but I think a lot of people who really enjoy Path of Exile 1 may or may not like Path of Exile 2 in how the game is currently set up. Okay. But overall, I think Path of Exile 2 is a pretty good game. So you might be thinking, why is it like Ruthless? I'll just give you a few examples here. I hope you guys have been enjoying the music. It's nice. Polish in the game is really, really good. Okay. Generally, it's like, you know, if you want to actually get, you know, high-tier maps, you have to literally fully invest in high-tier maps. If you want meaningful rewards from some of...
Yeah, I've only gone to maps once in Path of Exile 1, so I'm gonna skip this.
Your dodge roll.
Oh yeah, there we go. This is important.
High-level maps.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have
is also
skipped.
very unforgiving. The amount you have to invest to make a character work, to go through a boss, can be daunting. And honestly, it's not that fair either. Like you see my character now, I have like 3,000 health with like honestly an absurd amount of damage reduction mechanics, more than I've seen on any other character. And I mean, you still get one shot. Like this character, high-level maps, literally you're getting one-shotted all the time. The main difference from Path of Exile 2 and Ruthless is actually the dodge roll. The dodge roll seems to be something they've balanced the game around, and honestly, I don't like it that much. I don't like the dodge roll that much in general.
Me neither.
And I don't like the fact that they're balancing the game around it. So what do you...
Right. And I don't know if there's skills that boost it, but yeah, I was happy that they've added it. I didn't think that it would be so important to the game.
What do I mean by, how are they balancing the game around it? Well, in Path of Exile 1, if you want to really tank a character, you can make one. If you want to make a character that survives the highest damage ability in the game, you can do that. You're going to have crappy damage, it's going to have other disadvantages, but you can do that.
And that's like one of the first builds that Dart Microtransaction made, I think, in if I remember correctly, when he finally tried Path of Exile 1. He was coming off of... he was a heavy Diablo player, and people were telling him to play Path of Exile 1, and then he made a super tank.
In Path of Exile 2, you can't really do that. You can invest in as much health and as much survivability as possible, and you can get nearly one-tapped by a near max level map, granted. But like I did an expedition the other day, and I got killed in nearly one hit. Somebody's like 50 life.
Well, not even in expeditions, just going through the acts. I don't play hardcore, but just a random mob, if you're not careful, can just one-shot you with like the correct ability.
Like 0.2 second reaction
Maybe not one-shot you, but like 1 second you're dead.
time, a tiny white bubble on the ground. The visual clarity and understanding the danger of the events you're facing is not good in Path of Exile 2. And combined with the fact that you almost can't survive anything unless you are looking at everything all the time and utilizing your dodge roll. Like there are many boss mechanics that if you mistime your dodge roll, you will get one-shotted. And I do want to also mention that I've taken a look at a lot of other people's...
I don't enjoy that. I did not enjoy Elden Ring, just if people are wondering what type of game I like to play. I'm not as good a gamer as I was when I was a teenager, and I was not the best gamer in my group by far, so I enjoyed, you know, games that, I don't know, had sort of a challenge, but more satisfaction than challenging. I don't know how to explain it. I don't feel proud when I beat a difficult game or a difficult boss. I don't feel proud. I rarely feel proud in my life. Maybe that's a problem with me, with my upbringing or some trauma, something, you know, buried somewhere, or my Catholic French-Canadian roots that we don't really like show-offy people culturally usually. But yeah, so beating something really hard for me just brings me sweats and annoyance, and I get relief when it's over, but I don't get joy or pride or any sense of accomplishment. It's really weird.
Builds, a lot of content creators are making builds and stuff. The way the game is set up is if you want to progress, if you want to level, if you want to reach the highest tier maps, you need to make a character that doesn't like almost ever die. A lot of the builds that I've seen are people doing like tier 1 and tier 2 maps with like less than 2,000 health, and I'm pretty much going to using active block 20%, have a bunch of minions constantly. You're through a tier, and then you start getting one-shotted and every...
It just keeps talking about the one-shots. And you lose your experience and all that, so I'm gonna skip that chapter. The gem system here.
You guys to try. Enough positivity. I've actually quite enjoyed my playthrough. Overall, I think it's very fun to play Path of Exile 2. I recommend for you guys to try.
Okay.
Okay, so you start up the game. You're in the early game. The main thing that I dislike in the early game is gems and balance. I don't like their gem system more than I like Path of Exile 1's gem system, because you can't like farm to get character power.
Right. Which is how people that are bad at games like me play RPGs to offset that skill, that lack of skill, and, you know, go utilize the system in a way that lets us play the game in a different way, which was fun.
Path of Exile 1, if you're playing a character that maybe is just not so good in the early game, or maybe it's not so good in the mid game, what you can do is you can stay in a zone a little bit longer, kill a bunch more monsters, your gems will level up, and this will be like over-leveling, and it'll make the content that you're about to do a little bit less challenging. It kind of has this forgiveness, and it allows Path of Exile 1 to have broadly very well-balanced content, because, well, you're not forcing people into like, at this point you have to defeat that, which is a nice concept in general, but if it's too rigid, which in my opinion in Path of Exile 2 it is, because largely of their gem system, it doesn't feel very good. In Path of Exile 2, if you're facing a boss and the boss is too hard, your options are basically to farm a zone for hours and hours and hours, and you'll get like 2%, maybe 10% character power if you get an item upgrade, because getting like another couple levels, it's not giving you that much power. The passive tree, there's not that much power there. Your gems, you literally can't level them. The way that gems work is the level of a gem drops from...
Yeah, I just realized what he said with there's not much upgrades with the passive tree. They were saying that they want loot to be more significant in Path of Exile 2, and I feel like because I'm looking here because I'm looking at myself in the OBS screen. I think that because they focused so much on the loot and the items becoming helping you get stronger and feeling more significant, they've sacrificed a lot of the other aspects of the game which made Path of Exile special.
A level of a zone. So if you can't beat like a boss in the campaign, you can't increase the level of your gems. The best you can do is match the level of the gems of that zone, which usually, again, doesn't give you that much character power if your main gem is already of that level. So it gets a little bit tricky because they're kind of setting themselves up for a real challenge in finding some sort of balance to this, because not every class is going to be pretty balanced in every single stage of the game, especially the early game. In my opinion, Path of Exile 1's gem system is amazing. I think it's the best skill system in an ARPG. I think it's a 10 out of 10 in terms of mechanics. It can look a little bit daunting, but in Path of Exile 2, it is a little bit more polished of a system. It looks a little bit less daunting, but it's actually not, because the core mechanics and the scaling and the optimal setups are still going to be like Giga Theory crafted. It's not really any simpler in that sense. It might be a little bit simpler for the player that doesn't want to look literally anything up and just wants to dive into the game. I don't know how many players like that there are these days. Maybe there's quite a few, maybe there's not. I don't know. Maybe that's something that we're keeping in mind. But overall, the core idea that you can't get power from gems is really kind of weak, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I also think that it's really lame that it's trivialized with trading. So if you're playing in a trading environment, you do trivialize everything. You literally trivialize.
Okay, I don't trade. I should activate solo self-found because I'm too lazy to trade. Talks about the spirit, which also is weird. I just want to get to the main points. You should watch the full video. Give him the views.
Strength on the skill tree everywhere. So because you can't actually make your character more meaningfully tanky, the bosses are literally starting to just one-shot you. And it's going to be a case where, again, you either time your dodge roll properly or you die. And this notion starts around the mid-game in the campaign and continues for the rest of the game for most builds. In the endgame,
Act 2 for me.
Endgame, I'm
Act
talking
1.
about like at least mid-tier maps to endgame maps, because the early game maps are actually really easy. You can just dive into the early game maps like they're absolutely nothing. There really isn't that much to them. Like if you're doing it the table, it's just like a real slog to go through some of these maps. Some maps are okay, some maps just feel really big.
Yeah, that's true. Talks about the hitboxes of the characters.
That you will get from that entire map, and that's actually kind of insane. One thing that you'll notice if you're going through maps is that the mobs don't actually scale that much more HP. Like, I don't know the exact numbers, but it feels like the health of monsters as you climb the rank tiers doesn't go up that much. In Path of Exile 1, it goes up a whole lot. You can be cruise controlling in the early maps and really struggling in even the mid-game maps in Path of Exile 1. In PoE 2, the mobs in the lowest level maps have similar HP to the highest level maps. I would say no more than times 10. And times 10 is not that much because the first two maps are actually kind of easy. So what's different? Well, they do way more damage. They do way more damage. Like, the entire game seems to be trying to find life nodes, but they're not on the passive tree. That's how you make a stronger character right now in Path of Exile 2, and it kind of feels like bashing your head against the wall a lot of the time in that sense.
Yeah.
So what happens is you die. You're going to die a lot. I think death is actually too punishing for the game that they have set up.
Damn.
Just to be clear, what happens if you die? You lose the map that you're in. You lose experience. I think it's like 15%. Maybe it's 10. I'm not too sure. I didn't really look at it, but it's a lot because the experience rates are similar to Ruthless and Path of Exile 1, which are absolutely brutal.
So I don't know how many people will play maps if just the campaign is super punishing and takes like 30 hours to finish. I guess it's gonna make people stick to one character more, but and maybe just have time to play one character a season instead of several. Like Path of Exile 1, people would make a character that they knew worked to finish early and go farm endgame so that they could find the loot for their second character, which is the class that they've actually wanted to play.
Slightly before endgame maps is super trivialized with trading. I think trading is going to be kind of a problem for them to solve. I think the idea that like the sweatiest gamers are going to do the highest level maps, they're going to have like hundreds of level 20 gems, and because they have so many and they're getting them all the time, people are basically going to skip all of that progression by just buying high-level gems and a few pieces of pretty decent gear, and they're just going to find the game pretty easy until they are repeatedly getting one-shot in the highest few maps, and they're basically not going to experience the journey of getting there, and they're going to experience all the frustration that exists in the highest tier of maps. So I think a lot of people will kind of experience that play pattern. The rewards are also highly gated based on high maps. Low maps are kind of worthless.
Okay, I don't care about maps.
that item could possibly have. So yesterday I found an item with tier 11 life in the game, and it had a lot of life. It had like 180 something life, and I'm like, wow, is that the most? I don't know. I literally don't know. I don't know how good that item is, right?
Well, because the game is
I don't
new.
know if I should invest further to try to chaos
Because the game is brand new, right? So
some of the other bad mods away. I just don't know. So I think the way that they flipped the tier system is actually worse for mods. For like crafting and stuff, it kind of sucks that a lot of the crafting options that were so awesome in Path of Exile 1 are just pretty much gone in Path of Exile 2. But on one hand, that was a little bit overwhelming for new players. It was really difficult for new players to understand if an item was good, especially because they had to basically imagine how they could craft on top of it later. In Path of Exile 2, an item is generally good.
As someone that barely crafted and managed to get to maps in Path of Exile 1, I feel like the item system was so good in Path of Exile 1 that you didn't need to craft if you got lucky or to trade, and you just got lucky by farming a lot, and you got so many items that you eventually could get, you know, lucky. It didn't take that much time to get an upgrade. There were constant upgrades. You could constantly readjust your build. It wasn't any investment besides like a 1 hour play, just repeating the zone. So I rarely needed to craft. I don't know, these guys are talking about endgame mapping, and I don't know how many players actually get, like the percentage of players actually get to that side of the game, but...
Or it's not. It's like Ruthless in Path of Exile 1. And that's pretty good. One thing they've also done really well with itemizations, the currencies in Path of Exile 2, I am currently engaging with all the currencies that I'm regularly finding. That's awesome. That's absolutely fantastic. Now, some of those currencies appear like they suck, but that's kind of how it is. There is pretty significant drop scarcity, but I would say that overall, their system of drop scarcity, the crafting options that you have, and generally progressing your character through gear is really consistent. I think this system has gone through a huge number of revisions, and is actually pretty good. There are a few parts of the game with like characters I think have gone through maybe not enough revisions. Like I think the spirit system is cool, but like there's just no sense of balance there. Like, you know,
yeah, I don't like the spirit system.
Exile 2 are as follows. I think the combination of I think they imagined that, you know, some of the top streamers of the game will just play that through anyway and kind of push that. That's possible, but I'm not sure. My predictions for Path of Exile 2 are as follows. I think the combination of a really tough campaign, especially for a lot of classes, and very limited high map tier viability will just kind of be draining for people who play this game all the time. For people that play this game, like people who play PoE 1 like year round, I think they will just find it like frustrating to play Path of Exile 2 that much. Maybe not for a while, but let's check back again in like a few weeks or a month. I think they're going to seriously struggle to balance as classes are added and items are added to the game. Currently, we actually have very few items. Those of you that have played may not know this, but we're missing a massive amount of item types. There's like no swords, there's no axes, there's no spears, there's no classes that use these. There's probably going to be a bunch of new supports that interact with these because there's blank spots in the support skill gem crafting system when you go to all gems. And they have like repeatedly nerfed stuff in the very first few days. We literally had a hotfix like deleting a mechanic almost from Titan 1 day into the beta starting out. So, you know, I think they are really going to struggle to kind of put all...
That worries me. It's early access, so it's okay, but I don't want them to go the way of Helldivers 2 and just nerf everything that is strong and fun to play instead of buffing other things to bring them up to the strong build. I guess nerfing is easier than buffing, because you just have to fix one mechanic instead of, or like one class instead of all the other classes. But it sucks that fun out of the meta.
The abilities in line with how many of them they have and how many they have yet to add. And I also think a really big part of PoE 2 right now is it won't really have the high reward and chill playstyle that certainly exists in Path of Exile 1. Path of Exile 1 is a mix. It's a mix of sometimes you'll have really challenging content, sometimes you'll just focus on really crafting something, sometimes you'll just like do a whole bunch of trading and improve your character that way in a very serious way because you can just equip any item you want. It's not like gated that much on like your levels and stuff most of the time. Now, yeah, you have the intense playtime in PoE 1, but you also have the chill playtime. In PoE 2, there's no chill.
There's no chill. They nerfed chill.
The chill you're getting in PoE 2 is if you're doing content that's offering you nothing. Like yeah, I could do a tier 2 map. Like when I eat on stream, I'm literally playing with one hand and I'm unable to use my health potion. Do you know what I do? Tier 5 maps. Yeah. What do I get? Nothing. I complete the nodes where I go to the boss nodes where I actually need to do stuff. But like the chill playtime is 0. There's pretty much no reason to do it. There's no reward. There's no reward for chill, so the game is just not chill. It doesn't have the chill plus somewhat rewarding combo that is certainly there in Path of Exile 1.
Yes.
And I think
Preach! Preach!
largely because of that and the crafting systems that honestly I don't think will be added to Path of Exile 2 in this decade, at least. Path of Exile 1 will still have a pretty high demand of players, but for now, you know, PoE 2 is the latest and greatest, so people will just kind of be focused on that. But I certainly don't see Path of Exile 1 going away just because it offers such a different kind of gameplay. Hope you guys enjoyed my review. Hope it was worth your time.
We do.
I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye. Great video. So I'm gonna end it on that note. I've been enjoying the comments. I'm reading your comments all the time. That's why I want to make. I wanted to make. Whoops. It's not why I wanted to make a channel, but it's fun to engage in these types of discussions. My friends play different types of games, so I don't really talk about that kind of thing with them a lot. So I enjoy being part of a community, even if people disagree with me, agree with me, have a different take. People have been mostly polite, so that's very fun. Other videos, people are a bit rude. Sometimes I deserve it, with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Video where I was acting a bit like a little troll, but that was on purpose. But yeah, I try to be myself a bit, mostly. I mean, during when I make these videos, because I don't like to pretend to be like someone else. And if people don't like me online, then I would just stop making videos or just do game reviews, I guess, where I put less of my personality in them. So yeah, just I'm trying to not be too negative. I'm disappointed in Path of Exile 2. I have another video where I tried the Mega Man 1 for the first time and I hated it because that was on stream. People have enjoyed watching me rage on the stream, but I don't want to put it out because I don't want my channel to be all negative. I don't like when these channels just farm negativity. But negative videos get more views for some reason. That's not true. My reviews and Filthy Casual series back in the day, it's already like 3-4 years ago, we're getting the most views. Anyways, I'm rambling. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Salt Goblin on YouTube, Salt Goblinoid on Twitch. I stream 2 to 3 times a week on Twitch. People ask me, why don't you stream on YouTube? It's because I need 1,000 subscribers on YouTube to be able to stream on YouTube. So I can't at the moment. This channel is very small, and I don't spend a lot of time on it. I do enjoy it. I just have a regular full-time job on the top of it. So the rare times, not the rare times, I have a lot of free time because all my friends have kids and I don't. So they're with their family. I'm with my wife, but I have more free time. But I don't always I don't need to feel productive 24/7 to be happy. So I don't always work on my channels. But anyways, thank you very much, everybody. And go give, what's his name again? That dude we were just watching, Kriparian, a watch on his video. It's very good. And yeah, give me your takes if you enjoy it, if you hate it, in the comments. I read them. I'm interested in them. What's your build? Did you get nerfed? Are you planning on playing long term? Stuff like that. So thank you very much, everybody, again for the 17th time, and have a good one. May your loots be plentiful.